But shalom, welcome. I hope you all are having a wonderful morning. I pray that Yahweh is covering you all, keeping you all, that you are being continually encouraged by His word. Thank you, Pastor Copley, for asking me to present this morning. I'm just going to speak to you about what he spoke to me about. And so I have been on this path through Proverbs. Actually, Sister Nakira mentioned something about um, us trying to be like a Proverbs 31 woman, but we haven't like gone through the books and really gathered the history and the knowledge and the wisdom that we need to be that. So on this path, though, as I've been reading through it, starting in chapter 1, I've been getting a lot of reference to the neck. Um, about keeping the word around the neck, about having it as a chain and so forth. So it made me think of, the things that we carry, the things that we, things that have been placed around our necks, as well as things that we ourselves have carry around our necks. And it also made me think of, because as I was again preparing, shalom, Consuela, shalom. As I again was preparing, I prayed to him about, what did he want me to speak on and so forth. I couldn't get my thoughts formulated. And it wasn't until very late last night that, he spoke to me. He was like, I've been speaking to you about the neck, so I need for you to go there. And then I began to be sleepy and so forth. And I was just like, oh, I don't know if I could do this and so forth. And it really made me think about condemnation, and about what we speak over our lives, about what we yoke ourselves to when we don't speak correctly over our lives. So if we, as we remember in Romans 8:28, we're gonna go there. Go to Romans 8:28, and we're gonna read through 31. Romans 8:28. And it reads, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love Elohim, to them who are the called according to his purpose. For him he did foreknow, he did also predestinate to be conformed to the image of his son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. Moreover, whom he did predestinate, them he also called, and whom he called, he also justified, whom he justified, he also glorified. And what shall we say to these things? If Elohim be for us, who can be against us? And we're also going to read verse 1. And it is part of our affirmations that we should be doing daily as well. Romans 8:1, and it reads, therefore there is therefore now no condemnation to them who are in Yahshua HaMashiach, who walk not after the flesh, but after the spirit. So here it says that there is no condemnation for those of us who walk after Yahshua HaMashiach. This means that my creator is honestly the only authority that is able to break me down, because only Yahweh can actually build me up in righteousness. And we've been giving the adversary too much power. We've been giving the words and beliefs of others, the projections, honestly, of others too much power, and not um, seeking the Most High. We've been allowing the yokes of other people's beliefs, ideologies, other people's walk. We've been allowing other people's walk to even influence us, and condemning ourselves. But only your creator, only the person that built you, has the power or the authority to break you down, because they're the only one that can rebuild you and build you back up in righteousness, build you back up correctly, build you back up in right legal standing. So we as a nation have a history of being stiff necked. We have a history of disobedience. We have a history of sedition. We have a history of rebellion against the Most High. But even in our captivity, we were seditious against our oppressors. We didn't just, stand there and take it. We didn't just agree to be enslaved. But part of submission too, as well, is part of being stiff necked is not only that you won't bow, that you won't come under submission, um, but it also means that you won't lift your head up out of some things. You could be stiff necked in your submission to the flesh, and not unto the Most High. You won't lift your head up to praise Yahweh, but you'll keep your head down and continue to wallow in what you've asked Him to remove you from. You still in submission. You still stiff necked and keeping your head down about what you used to do and who you used to be, instead of lifting your head up and glorifying the Most High about whom Yahweh is cleaning you up and forming you to be. So you can be stiff necked in the fact that not only will you not bow and get under the jurisdiction, get under the covering of the Most High, get under the covering of the person who created you, get under the covering of the Spirit who created you, get under the Father who created you. You won't bow there. You'll bow to the laws of mankind. You bow to their paganism. You'll bow to their dietary laws, but you won't submit yourself unto the Most High. And you're being stiff necked when you won't come out of the sin, when you want to keep your head down. You yourself are being stiff necked when Yahweh is calling you out of darkness. He's calling you out of ignorance. He's calling you out of unrighteous covenants. He's trying to call you out of paganism, call you out of unclean eating, but you are stiff necked and you refuse to lift your head as Yahweh is trying to hearken unto you and lift you out. We have a history of being stiff necked, Yasharel. We have a history of trying to maintain. But what are we trying to maintain? We wanted 40 years because we were stiff necked. We wanted 40 years because we kept looking back into the conveniences of our enslavement in Babylon, as opposed to seeking what Yahweh said that He had for us. We play stiff neck real well. We do stiff neck real well. Shalom, everyone. I appreciate you all coming on this morning. Shalom. We played house for years. Kept eating unclean for years. Kept celebrating Christmas for years, even after we knew better. Until Yahweh pulled us out of that darkness. We can be really stiff necked. We have a history of being stiff necked, Yahshua. But Yahweh isn't a man that He should lie. And Yahweh doesn't change. And He hasn't forgotten one single second of your existence. From your spirit when He created it initially, from when He foreknew you, until the future that you have yet to find out about. He hasn't forgotten any single second of your existence. And I use the verses of Romans 28 and 31 a lot because it has a lot of depth to it. And it's actually very logical. So if we break down Romans 8, let's start in verse 28, and it says, "And we know that all things work together for good to them that love Elohim, to them who are called according to His purpose." So all things work together for good, whether it looks good to us or not, whether we deemed it to be good or evil, because we love the Most High, because what He does is for His purpose through us, because we allow ourselves to be a willing vessel, servant, disciple of the Most High. All things work together for good. That's Lamentations 3. That Yahweh blesses those that wait on Him. That's Job. Though He slay me, yet will I worship Him, yet will I trust Him. regardless of what's going on. Even though we wandered out here 40 years, even though it looked like this manna is not enough, Yahweh continues to provide in spite of what we speak over our lives, in spite of what we yoke ourselves to. Despite the yokes that we placed on ourselves, but we can be real stiff necked, Yasharel. Verse 29 and Romans 8:29, and it reads, for whom he did foreknow, he did predestinate to be conformed to the image of his son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. Yahweh knew you before this flesh that he gifted you. I like the way that our Father was involved with all of it. Both your spirit and your flesh belong to him because he created all of that. Wouldn't be here without either one. You wouldn't be here and existing at all. Your spirit would not be here had it not been for the Father. Your flesh would not be here had it not been for the Father. And he knew you before he gifted you other. And he already set you in a place for his purpose. He already set you in a place where he would get the glory. He already pre-planned where he was going to put you, pre-planned your destination, pre-planned where he was going to get the most glory before you were even thought about, so that you could be conformed to the image of his son, so you could be in agreement with the image, so you could be like the image of his son. Who was his son? Yahshua HaMashiach. And what is he? The way, the light, the door, the access, the bread. So we can be like him. So he can be there could be many like him. Many that walk like Yahshua, many that follow the way, many that follow Yahweh's will for their life, many that keep the law, many that keep his commandments, many that honor his dietary laws, many that honor his agricultural laws, many that honor his stewardship laws, many that honor and preserve his feasts. He's looking for someone to conform to the image of his son whom he sent. What yoke are you carrying? What guard are you under? What guidance are you under? What path are you keeping? It says seek first the kingdom. We can be really stiff necked. We know how to be rebellious. Even when we had yokes of iron, and not the economic yokes that we have now, and not the food poverty yokes that we have now. Well, it actually was actually all of those. We had all of those yokes. But even when we had iron yokes, we were seditious to our oppressors. We fought like tooth and nail. We need to fight to walk in obedience, Yasharel. We need to fight to be stiff necked when it comes to the laws of the Most High. We need to fight to be stiff necked against this world, against its customs, against its ways. And what does Yahshua say? What does Yahshua say about his yoke? Let's go to Matthew 11. Matthew 11, we're going to read 29 and 30. Matthew 11. Excuse me, Yasharel. Verses 29 and 30. Let's start in verse 28. Matthew 11, verse 28 to 30. And it reads, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest unto your souls. Verse 30, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. I always tried to figure out what he meant by that. Um, Part of it, I believe. Part of it that Yahweh reveals to me when he says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn of me. I am meek and lowly. My yoke is easy and my burden is light." What was his yoke? What was his yoke? So a yoke is put on to oxen or horse, so that the two animals that's assisting with tilling the ground and so forth can work together. It's looped around the horns, or maybe looped around the neck, or maybe even looped even broader, like around the shoulder sometimes, so that they can be controlled, and the farmer can move them the way they need to, so they can make straight lines and till the area that they want to have tilled. So, what was the yoke of Yahshua? It was the yield. It was the will of Yahweh Elohim. That is the guidelines that he put himself under. That is the control that he gave. He was under the will of the Most High Yah. That's what he came to do. That's what he was focused on. And he kept the law because that's a part of the yoke. That's a part of the covenant. That's a part of him walking in obedience. It's a part of the covenant. That's a part of the agreement. That he willingly take on these laws. He willingly takes on the spirit of the Most High. He willingly takes on these boundaries. He willingly sets himself apart. He willingly walks in obedience. That was his yoke. He willingly fears the Most High and keeps his commandments. He said, if you love me, you keep my commandments. He willingly takes on this yoke. That's why he was like, my yoke is easy. Because what? Laws protect your rights. The laws of the Most High in this covenant protect your rights. We talked about that before. It protects your right to life. It protects your right to relationship. It protects your right to joy, to peace. It protects your right to patience, to humility, to faithfulness. It protects your rights to the inheritance. It protects your rights to time with him. It protects your rights to provision, to protection. It protects your rights to mercy. So if you got to be under someone's control, if you have to be under in submission to someone, if you have to be under the reign, be under the reign of the King of Kings. Be under the guidance of the Elohim of Elohims. Be under the covering and be cleansed by the Most High Yah. If you have to be in submission, be in submission to the Creator of all. Be in submission to intimacy with him. Be in submission to wisdom. Be in submission to his understanding. Be in submission to his laws, statutes, and commandments. If you're gonna carry a yoke, if you're gonna willingly put one on, submit yourselves to the Most High. So, what is the yoke around your neck? What's leading you? What's guiding you? What's making you different from anybody else? Who are you yoked with? Are you yoking? Are you clinging and cleaving yourself to with non-believers? Pastor explained to us that when you yoking the beasts together, they have usually like one that's older, that's been there for a little minute, and one that's younger but strong. Are you yoking yourself with someone that's neither strong nor has the knowledge or understanding? Do you not have wisdom, but you hoping the works of some other person will help pull you along? That's not how this works. You have to pick up the cross. You have to pick up the yoke. Is the yoke around your neck Yahweh's will or worldly ways? Is it Yahweh's will or just habits? Is it Yahweh's wills or family tradition? Who's guiding you? Who's guiding you? Let's go to Proverbs 1. I'll take you all with me on part of my journey as I go through Proverbs. So let's go through Proverbs 1. We're going to start in verse 8. Proverbs 1, verses 8 and 9. And it reads, My son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother, for they shall be an ornament of grace unto thy head, and chains about thy neck. The laws are going to be chains about thy neck. So if you're going to wear a chain, if you're going to have yourself linked to something, link yourself to the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the Most High. Link yourself to your Creator so you can know who you have been called to be. So you can tell whether or not the yokes that you have upon you are the ones that you are supposed to have upon you. So you can learn to recognize what you are being linked to, what you are being yoked to. It says there's supposed to be an ornament of grace around your neck. Let's go to Proverbs 3. We're going to go Proverbs 3, verses 1 through 3. And it reads, My son, forget not my law. It's always all through Proverbs, but you all know that. But let thine heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to you. That's what it's that yoke is easy and that burden is light because it's laws of peace, laws of righteousness. Verse 3, let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck and write them upon the table of thine heart. Verse 4, so shalt thou find favor and good understanding in the sight of Elohim and man. Verse 5, trust in Yahweh with all thine heart and lean not into thine own understanding. So he says, let not mercy and truth forsake you. Bind them about your neck. Keep them. Keep them close to you. If you're going to have a yoke on, if you're going to be under a guidance, if you're going to be in submission to anything, be in submission to the word, be in submission to Yahweh, be in submission to Yahweh's will on your life. What does it say? So you'll find favor and good understanding in the sight of Elohim and man. That's what Yahshua did. We still talking about him now. About how he walked in his purpose. He walked in Yahweh's will. He came to do Yahweh's will, and he stood steadfast in that. And he didn't allow anyone to determine. He willingly took that yoke. He willingly took that leading. He willingly took that guidance. He willingly allowed Yahweh to order his steps. Who's leading you? Who's guiding you? What yokes have you put on that don't belong to you, actually? Let's go to Matthew 23. We'll get a little more in depth about this binding them about the neck. Matthew 23. We're going to start at verse 1. And then spake Yahshua to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. And therefore, whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do. But do not ye after their works. He said, keep the law. Don't follow their works. For they say and do not. They're hypocrites. They produce below the criteria that they try to set for others. They try to condemn those that are not keeping the law, but they themselves are not keeping it. Verse 4, it says, for they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne and lay them on men's shoulders. But they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. Verse 5, but all their works they do for to be seen of men, for the glory of men, so that they can get the vanities of men, so they can get the accolades of others. They make broad their phylacteries. Phylacteries were small boxes that contained scripture that they would wear around their necks. And it says, and enlarge the borders of their garments. And then they're in reference to the borders of fringe. And these borders were actually for you. Your fringes are actually for you, as a reminder to you about Yahweh's commandments, as a reminder to you about the covenant that you have with the Most High Yah. Not so that others can give you accolades for how long your fringes are, and others can give you accolades because every single item of everything that you wear has your fringes on, or so that others can give you accolades because how much word that you have literally around your neck, all these physical things. The phylactery, the chain, is so that you will keep it in your heart, not for the vanity and for and so that you can get accolades from men, but that's so that you can be in right standing with Yahweh Elohim. You're putting on the yoke of the love of money. You're putting on the yoke of strife, and you're putting on the yoke of fornication and adultery. You're putting on all of these yokes so you can seem right by man. But Yahshua said, "My yoke is easy." Being in submission to Yahweh is easy because I love him. Being in submission to the Most High Yah and his laws is easy because I fear him. And the burden of this yoke is light because the cost of sin is going to be death. That's not something I can afford. Can you afford the wages of this world? Can you afford the cost that to be in this world? Can you afford the costs that are necessary, the things that you have to give up? Yahweh can't keep your hand on you if you walk in wickedness. He can't keep he can't help you eat the good of the land if you keep partaking of their fruits and their ways. He can't heal you if you're not getting into his word and you continually submit to their word. He can't bless your seed if you keep allowing someone else's to plant their fruits of flesh. Isn't that science where it says that two things of matter can't take up the same space? Yahshua came to clean this temple so that you could have covering. He came to release you from the yoke of sin so that you can happily and eagerly, that's right, stay on the side of the Most High. He says, shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? Yahweh forbid. Will I continue in this yoke of wickedness, even though I hear Yahweh calling me out? Yahweh forbid. I don't know the day. I don't know the hour. The burden is light. Laws protect rights. Yahweh's laws are not grievous. Laws protect rights. This guidance, this this chastening, these corrections, your obedience is better than the sacrifice. Your disobedience costs you time with Yahweh. Your disobedience costs you opportunity to have the Rabbi Kakadesh be present. Obedience lengthens your days. Your disobedience costs you your health. Because how can you eat of the good of the land if Yahweh don't bless you? How can he hear your prayers for your petitions? It says he hears the prayers of the righteous. He hears the prayers of those that are walking in right legal standing. He hears the prayers of the repentant. He hears the prayers of those with a broken spirit. What yokes are you carrying? And this will feel like weight. This journey will feel like weight. This walk to Yahweh will feel like weight. This this journey to get to know Him. This journey to become more understanding. This journey toward wisdom of Him. This journey towards who you are. This journey to who we are as a nation. This journey to us discovering how we're supposed to function together, so that we can continue to be set apart while we're in this captivity, while we prepare for this exodus. This will feel like a weight. It's going to feel like a chore because it's an enmity against this world. You are a salmon going upstream. That's right. If you don't keep my commandments, you'll be punished. But your punishment it isn't always because of him. It's because you have come from under covering. You have taken off the yoke and chosen another. Joshua said that my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Too many of us want to come up from under the laws of the Most High. Too many of us want us to come up from under the covering of what the laws of this covenant protects. You're protected under this covenant. You're protected under this covenant. But we, Yasharel, we are committed. We are committed. We are committed to getting under submission to Yahweh's laws. We are committed to sharing the seeds of Yahweh's word with others so that they can have the opportunity to come under submission to the Most High Yah. So they can have an opportunity to have relationship with Yahweh Him. So they can have the opportunity to put on the mantle to honor the Most High, to glorify Him with our works. Everything we do and honor of him. Everything we do unto the Most High. Gladly carrying this yoke. We're committed to carry this cross. Because if we got to carry a cross, if I got to carry anything, if I got to carry a burden in this life, it's going to be to continue to walk in the way that Yahweh has set for us, which is the way of his son, which is the way of Yahshua HaMashiach, which is in following his path, which is in, what he say? You're going to do more than I did. That means you're going to talk to more people. You're going to speak more of the word to people. You're going to have to assemble together. You're going to have to feed 20,000. You're gonna have to heal 50,000. You're gonna have to do more. You're gonna because you're walking after him. I showed you how to do this. I showed you how to pray. I showed you how to fast. I showed you how to rebuke the demons. I showed you how to flee temptation. I showed you how to get the yoke of this flesh off of you. But you're a child. You still need guidance. You still need leadership. This yoke is easy. The burden of it light. Because the wages of sin is death, and you can't afford that. I've redeemed you once. We're not gonna continue in the way we used to. We're not gonna pick that yoke back up. We're not gonna go back into the world. We're not gonna head back to the flesh pots. We're not gonna go back from the way we came. We're not gonna keep yoking ourselves and unrighteous nut covenants. We're not going to keep yoking ourselves to uncleanness. We're not going to keep yoking ourselves to unbelievers. As Yahweh was called to be the way, the light, we are called to follow him. He was called to be the way. We called to follow him. He said, for whom he did predestinate to conform to the image of his son. He didn't already knew that you was going to be in place. He didn't already knew that you were going to hearken unto it. Yahweh is faithful. He said, this one here, this son, this daughter here, they're going to hearken unto me. I am faithful. I am faithful in whom I'm chosen. And my word don't come back void. This one here, my daughter Shema, my son Kofi, my daughter Shanta, my son Alton, my son Bertram, my daughter Anais, my daughter Nadine, my son Jerome, my daughter Nakure, my son Stephen, my daughter Deborah. I'm faithful. They're going to hear me. They're going to gladly take on this yoke. They're going to gladly take on these laws. They're going to gladly take on this honor. Committing their works unto me, committing their faith unto me, committing their daily walk unto me, committing their words unto me, seeking to conform themselves to the image of my son. They're going to hear me. They're going to hearken. They're going to follow my son. They're going to take on this yoke because they know it's lighter than anything this world can offer them. They know the burden of this yoke, the burden of walking in obedience, the burden of fearing the Most High, the burden of loving Him, the burden of walking in His commandments, the burden of fleeing wickedness, the burden of being a laborer to share the seeds of the fruit of the Spirit. They're going to pick up the cross. They're going to hearken unto my words, and Yahweh is faithful. We're going to gladly carry this yoke. We're going to gladly commit to his word. We're going to gladly walk in obedience. We're going to hunger and thirst after righteousness. We're going to seek the kingdom. We're going to gladly take up this yoke, Yasharel. We have a history of surviving. We have a history of surviving. We're called to follow him. We're called to hunger and thirst for righteousness. We're called to press forward towards the mark. We're called to do that. Everybody's not called to do that. We are all Yahweh's creation. We are not all his children. We're not all called invited to the table. Everybody can't handle this yoke. What does it say in the word? The wicked fools abhor righteousness. Fools run from wisdom. We're gonna gladly take on this yoke. We're gonna gladly allow Yahweh to lead. We're gonna gladly allow Yahweh's laws to guide us back into righteousness. We're gonna gladly set ourselves apart. We're gonna gladly be peculiar. We're gonna gladly take on this yoke. Send me. Send me, Father. Guide me. If I can help you in any way, by a vessel in any way, I will gladly take on this yoke. I gladly submit to your will, Yahweh. I gladly stand under the banner and the mission that you have for my life, Yahweh. I gladly take on this yoke, your will for my life. I'm gladly an empty vessel. I gladly take on this yoke. I shed the yoke of sin. And I know what I used to do. But now I'm where you placed me. Now not where I wandered off to. Now I'm here walking in faith, walking in righteousness, trying to do your works, Father. I've shed dishonor. And hopefully in my faith and my works, I'm honoring you, Yahweh. I take on this yoke. I take on this yoke. Let's go to Proverbs. Proverbs 2. This yoke preserves you. This yoke is saving your life. This will for your life that Yahweh has for you is saving your life, is saving your children's life. You saving lives with this walk that you won't ever know about. I tell you often, your life is your ministry. When people see you, when they see how you walk, when they see you walking in faith, when they see you keeping Shabbat, when they see you honoring the feast days, when they see you honoring the dietary laws, you are influencing someone else's walk. You don't think you plant your seed, but your life is a seed to someone else. I know what that person has been through, but look at them now. I know what that person has been through, but I see the glory of the Most High on them. I know what that person has been through, but yet they trust the Most High. People mock them. Their family don't listen to them, but they gladly carry the yoke. They gladly come under the law. Proverbs chapter 2, verses 1 through 5, and it reads, My son, if thou wilt receive my words and hide my commandments within thee, so that thou incline thy ear unto wisdom and apply thine heart to understanding. If ye criest after knowledge and liftest up thy voice for understanding, if thou seekest her as silver and searchest for her as for hid treasure, then shalt thou understand the fear of Yahweh and find the knowledge of Elohim. He said, if you receive my words, if you take them in again and hide them, Bind them around your neck. Wear it as a chain. Preserve it. Keep it. Take heed. Observe it. If you cry after knowledge, if you ask him for it, because he's inviting people to be yoked. Are you taking the invitation from the yoke that Yahweh is inviting you to? Or are you still holding on to the yoke of this world that was given to you? Who are you rebelling against? You pulling against the reins? Are you pulling against the reins and in the attempt for this world to control you? Or are you walking in submission to the yoke and the covenant that Yahweh has predestined for you? He knew that you would hear this word. He knew that you would hearken. He had faith. He is joyful that you have taken up this yoke. He is joyful that you have taken on this journey. He's joyful that you are eating of the whole scroll. He's joyful that you are meditating on his word day and night. You've taken this on. You've picked up this cross. Because if you gotta walk any kind of way, we're gonna walk towards the most high. If we gonna have to carry a load, at least let me be headed in the right direction toward Yahweh Elohim. If I gotta be yoked with someone, let it be where two or three are gathered so you can be in the midst so we can all get home. The last Bible verse I read was Proverbs 2, verses 1 through 5. What yoke are you carrying? So I have this spoke to me. I hope that it spoke and was edifying to you all. Um Take a look at what is holding you. Take a look at what you are have yoked yourself. Take a look to what yokes have been giving to you. What people are what this system may be trying to keep you attached to that you may not need to be attached to. Have you taken on the full yoke of Yahweh's will for your life? Have you taken on the full glory, the full weight, the suffering of this life? Nothing compared to the glory that Yahweh is going to reveal in us. He already knew. He already knew when he called you. He already knew when he made you. He already knew when he set you here. He already knew when you got into this relationship. He already knew when you had your second, third, fourth child. He already knew when you were on your fourth, fifth, sixth relationship. He already knew that you would eventually hearken. He already knew that you would figure out that your obedience to him is better than the sacrifices that you have to give out in this world. He already knew that you would realize his laws protect your rights. You have an inheritance when you're in relationship with the King of Kings. You have some gifts coming when you come back home to your father. You're entitled to some things when you take on this yoke and do Yahweh's will for your life. You have some things coming to you when you clean out your temple and allow the Ruach HaKodesh to reside, to inhabit. You're entitled to some things when you get into his word. You're entitled to some things when you speak his word. So today we're going to gladly take on the yoke. We're going to gladly take on the mantle. We're going to gladly take on this journey unto Yahweh, unto his will for our lives, unto the will he has for our nation, in the hopes that many others, we know it's only going to be a remnant, but we don't know how large that remnant is going to be. Nobody knows. So we're going to let Yahweh deal with the wheat and the tares, and we gonna stay committed to his word. We gonna stay committed to his will. We gonna stay committed to walking in faith and works, in spirit and truth. We gonna stay committed to planting the seeds of the fruit of spirit, planting the seeds of joy and love and peace and humility and patience and self-control and meekness. We gonna hunger and thirst after righteousness, not to be right. We gonna reprove and rebuke with doctrine and long suffering and patience with our brethren, not to demean and oppress. I hope you all have a beautiful week. I pray that Yahweh continues to bless our nation as we awaken, as we walk in repentance, as we walk in changed behavior, as we walk as set apart, as we walk as chosen, and continue to walk in obedience to his word and happily take on this yoke of his will for our life. I thank you all for showing up this morning. I pray Yahweh continues to keep you all. I pray he hears your prayers for healing, for knowledge, for understanding, but that he continues to order your steps. Keep his words in your mouth. Continue to praise him through everything and all things. Remember your affirmations. And I thank you, Pastor Copley, for allowing me your platform to share Yahweh's word with the nation. I pray that it was edifying and uplifting for you all. Have a wonderful week. Shalom, Yasharel. Shalom, yes. Shalom, beloveds.